So we are out here today in Mesa, Arizona, back at you. Day after Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. Just wanted to hop on and, add another addition to the vlog series, talk to individuals about the common questions and misconceptions in acquiring a note with mobile mailbox money. So, what are a couple things that people are asking about when evaluating the opportunity available as far as acquiring a note? Number one, is what's the risk within the strategy? There's risk in any investment strategy, and it's important to understand the due diligence items in order to facilitate a successful transaction. The risk within the strategy on acquiring a note is for that note to go non-performing. So if that performing note and the borrower stops paying, what happens? With mobile mailbox money, we are not ones to leave people high and dry. Well, what does that mean? That means that we take our brunt, our arm of the licensed manufactured home dealer, and at cost, allow the capital investor that bought the note to use our back office to re-cash flow that property after repossessing that home from the contractually agreed upon terms within the contract. So with manufactured housing, kind of unique, opposed to a residential real estate transaction, it's about a 40-day turnaround from affidavit of repossession to getting your title back and putting that home back for sale on the regular market. Definitely a lot faster than a foreclosure on a residential real estate transaction. So within 40 days, you can retitle that property, get it back for sale, get keys, and at cost, utilize our back office to be able to recash flow that property. It's about a $2,000 fee, whereas if you were to go to an attorney, and call your own, at the end of the day, they're going to want a $5,000 retainer, and ultimately, you're not going to use that whole retainer. They're going to end up holding on to that. You'll have an attorney, but why spend all that much more money when we can help facilitate and head with the investor to keep their bills low, as well as help them savvily reacquire title and put that home back up for sale? Well, the stability of the note is backed by the buyer's ability to repay the property and ultimately the contract and lien that is facilitated within that transaction. So with these notes, you get a lien on the property, which is backed by the documentation and contracts, right? But also the buyer's ability to repay. So that buyer will fit specific criteria of like at least a 550 credit score, no past criminal, no open bankruptcies, no past evictions, and verifiable income. So they are qualified for the seller finance transaction. So that you would think that hedge, right, for the note will provide further investment grade in the evaluation of these notes because the buyer fit a specific criteria to qualify for a note that we originate here in Arizona with a lien on the property. So that's the risk, right? If an individual were to stop paying, we would ultimately facilitate helping bring that home back to the available market at lower cost than what would originally be attained going out and doing it on your own. Really important to understand. What's another question that people ask frequently? Well, it's the time frames. So if I'm investing in a note on like one of these houses, like I'm walking around here today, what does that look like? Is that 10, 20, 25 years? What if I didn't want a time frame like that's that long? That's a long time to have money in an asset. It's a high yield on that asset. Base rates are like 14%. But, for an investor that doesn't want to have money in a vehicle for that long, what does that look like? Well, I'll tell you, an individual can actually participate in the note at a shorter time frame with a vested partner, qualified operator, through hypothecation. Hypothecation is at my discretion. So what I do is I take the asset, the note that's consummated, qualified, and cash flowing at an above average return. About 14% is the face rates that are seen usually across our platform. But that being said, it allows me to hypothecate, or in other words, pledge that asset in order to garnish capital investment to an investor at a satisfactory return. So a negotiated rate for the time frame that they're wanting to participate in. I could potentially offer that note at 8, 10, or 12% and have some negotiated terms, maybe six months, a year, 3 years, something of that nature, where I pledge the note to the investor in order to garnish capital investment at a lower rate of return than the face rate of the note, the performing note. So not only did I cash out, refi almost on that note, but also I'm still cash flowing on the rate of return and face rate received from the acquisition in that transaction. So they get the same note. They have now a qualified partner, and they're earning monthly or quarterly principal and interest checks depending on what they agree on. And that could be anywhere from 6 months to a year to 3 years. It's up for negotiation, but people talk about that. Hey, I really don't want to lock money up for 10, 20, 25 years. You could also invest in the fund, Silvercrest Opportunity Fund for accredited investors, somewhat of the same terms, but is backed by the portfolio notes as we take down those notes within our portfolio and at no cost to the investor through either hypothecated model or within the fund. At no cost to the investor within the risk of the strategy do we recash flow that property if it goes non-performing. So in other words, at no expense fee out of pocket to recast flow that property. If they're investing in the fund or hypothecation, they don't have to come out of pocket to recash flow that home, where if you own a note in its entirety, own a note whole within your portfolio, you'll be responsible for recash flowing that home. Couple things to go over, a couple hot items, hot topics for individuals wanting to participate, but find themselves trying to navigate the process. Maybe they're not a conventional note investment individual. Maybe they're looking at a single family home. Single family is a tried and true investment vehicle. But that being said, what kind of sweat equity are you really wanting to put into the program? And whether you're a real estate agent, a fix and flipper, or whatever, you could be doing less and making money on being the bank, making money, not having to swing the hammer, take phone calls for bad tenants and things of that nature, or flipping houses. That takes a lot of time and effort. And when an individual is either busy or running a business, who really wants to be out there swinging the hammer and managing contractors? It's all fun and games until things hit the fan here and there. Maybe a permit needs to get pulled and that, delayed your timeline. A contractor didn't do great work. There's all kinds of red tape and hardship within those transactions, when you could just buy a note that's cash flowing at a higher than average return and get your time back. Time is money, and you can acquire a note and make passive income in performing notes on manufactured housing, just like this here today, in a mobile home in a community established here in Arizona. Hot ticket item, affordable housing is key right now. A lot of politicians are talking about affordable housing. It's a big buzzword, and that's what we're capitalizing on. The stability in manufactured housing. Low cost. This home will list at $135 in the Central Mesa market. We actually have 2 homes in this park actually that we've acquired and are in various stages of rehab and resale just across the street, from each other. So we're comping our own properties in these areas, which is highly unique. That's the Zillow model. So to be in a non-competitive market and be running a Zillow model backed by a Warren Buffett investment strategy, that's tried and true and not highly competitive we get love from park management and things of that nature because we're licensed, bonded, and insured as a licensed manufactured home dealer. We're out here just walking around looking for private capital, providing further stability to investors wanting to participate outside the stock market and are tired of the sweat equity in operating a long-term real estate investment strategy. Why own when you could loan at a higher rate of return passive with mobile mailbox money and SilvercrestOpportunityFund.com?